YouTube Frogs 1.1 livestream has revealed a lot of details, more than I expected personally, on the upcoming banners for both phases. I've been already getting the very popular question, who should I pull? What's best value? So that's what we're going to cover today. Let's jump right into it. For both phases, the way they introduce banner includes the 4 stars, so we know exactly what to anticipate in less than 2 weeks' time. Silver Wolf is leading the charge with Danheng, Asta, and Serval as the 4 stars for the first phase. Second phase, we'll be getting LUOCHA, YUKONG, Apella again, and Qingque. First thing you'll probably notice, Silver Wolf's 4-star banner is entirely consisted of free characters we've received in the beginning of the game. Danheng is part of the main crew, Asta is part of the fixed intro summon, and Serval from pre-registration rewards. In my opinion, this makes the 4-star banner already generally a lot less valuable, but more so in this case because YUKONG is not available here. And yes, we will all be receiving a free YUKONG in 1.2, but I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested in a Harmony characters Eidolon, just like we recently had with Ting Yun. So at first glance, besides the people including myself who really want Silver Wolf, this banner has a lot less immediate value compared to LUOCHA's banner. This is my personal opinion, given that YUKONG is in the second half. Now let's actually dive into the characters for Silver Wolf's banner, starting with Silver Wolf herself, of course. I'm going to be using the Hoyoverse 1.1 site for this, which will have a link in the description. I think it's really cool. Besides being able to check out everything new, you can also view the 3D models within the site. So, Silver Wolf, we get a brief combat role description available in the site. Main purpose, hack into enemies and give them a weakness type from your team. Ultimate can reduce defense, and anytime she attacks, an RNG bug can be hacked into the enemy. Main role, debuffer with quantum typing. Probably one of the sickest designs currently, in my opinion. Silver Wolf's current value may not be that high, but while she does have insane utility, there's a bit of RNG involved in it, and without saying too much, we currently don't have a big enough character roster to support her full potential. I would definitely say a more whale-friendly character at current release with higher value, probably in a future rerun. If we look at banner values strictly from what 4 stars are available and what Silver Wolf can do, I think a vast majority of players will aim for Silver Wolf off of pure design and go LUOCHA for more gameplay meta. Now let's get to our 4-star Eidolons. First, we have Danheng on this first phase. Is a character focused on combining the utility from his passive res penetration and his ultimate additional damage multiplier on slowed enemies to deal massive wind damage. Since he needs a full kit to deal full damage, it might be a little difficult in the early game, where you have less access to allied target buffs and no crit to slow down enemies, which is from his skill or his ultimate big damage. Eidolons 1, 2, and 4 provide the best value for Danheng to reach his full potential. E6 increases the potency of his slow, but this does not improve his overall DPS loop, so it's not as important as his earlier Eidolons. The crit boost on E1, talent cooldown decrease on E2, and extra move on E4 all help his entire kit perform better. Asta, attack buff and most well known as the Speed Demon. The only Harmony character in this first phase banner, her Eidolons are unsurprisingly pretty high value. E1 gives her 1 extra hit on her skill, which increases her base skill from 5 hit to 6 hit. It's slightly more energy generation and weakness bar break, pretty high value. E2, after using her ultimate, the next turn her charge stacks won't decrease. Now these charge stacks are responsible for the strength of her attack buff, which can range from 1 to 5. This means the more often she ults, the more often she can sustain a higher stack for the max attack buff, because it does decrease every turn after the second turn. Pretty high value. E4, higher energy regeneration rate at 2+ stacks. Combined with E2, it's a positive feedback loop that helps her ult more consistently and subsequently keeps her stacks up. High value again. E6, instead of losing 3 stacks per turn after the second turn, E6 makes it only 2. This is pretty huge, especially against fire weakness. It means that only 1 target needs to be hit for her to maintain stacks each turn. High value. So yeah, all of Asta's Eidolons are high value. They really improve her kit performance quite a lot, from E0 to E6, from energy, from ult spamming, from maintaining her attack buff, and even weakness bar break on her skill. Serval, free lightning erudition character whose aim is to keep everyone shocked and take lightning DOT as much as possible. Her Eidolons, I would say just 2 are really important for her gameplay performance. E2, when her talent is triggered, which can be up to every attack, she regens 4 flat energy. This just helps her loop her ultimate more, which means more shock. E4, ultimate now applies shock instead of just extending it by 2 turns with a base chance of 100%. This makes both her ultimate and skill apply shock, also retroactively improving E2 as her talent will trigger more often. E1 and E6 are just more damage. They don't improve gameplay quality of life, so they are less valuable than E2, E4. So overall, looking at Silver Wolf's banner, the main value is first Silver Wolf, of course, and then side notes, possibly maxing out Asta's Eidolons for general Harmony buffs. Danheng and Serval are there for those that main them and as fillers. Now we get to LUOCHA's banner. Quite juicy. So let's look at LUOCHA first. very likely a big target for gameplay or meta-focused players due to his imaginary typing, heal abilities, and AoE Dispel on his ultimate. We get some extra breadcrumbs too from the 1.1 site, with details on his skill basically having a free proc when an ally's HP drops below 50%. This is pretty huge in my opinion, but I think it's also because his ultimate does not heal like most abundance characters, but is rather offensive. It deals AoE damage and a chance to dispel one buff on each enemy. The ultimate stuff is not described in this combat role, but it is described in the official livestream. His Abyss Flower thing is also basically like a lifesteal field. Allies will regen HP when they attack an enemy. On top of LUOCHA existing, YUKONG is also on his banner. In my opinion, YUKONG as an imaginary Harmony character makes this second phase banner have such huge value. We have two imaginary characters here, which currently only have one in the form of Wealth and are available together on the same banner. Harmony character? Oh yeah. So YUKONG, her skill can attack buff for all allies, and her ultimate can improve her skill and increase the crit rate and crit damage of all allies. No details more than that here. That will have to wait until a full guide. Not even looking at the other two characters on LUOCHA's banner, there is already high incentive for the LUOCHA YUKONG combo. A lot of players starting off in the game will have limited healing. Only Natasha is given for free to everyone, and Bailu is 5-star only. Lots of players have needed to rely on Natasha plus Fire Trailblazer plus March 7th if they don't have access to Japard or Bailu for two teams in Forgotten Hall 11+ and Memory of Chaos. LUOCHA will provide much needed roster completion with imaginary coverage, healing, and dispel. And if you don't get him, chances are adding YUKONG to your roster will improve your selection of Harmony supports for your DPS. If we've seen anything on what Harmony Eidolons can look like, they have provided some insane quality of life to our Harmony characters, making them mainstays on your roster. So even if we don't know YUKONG's Eidolons, we can expect them to be quite powerful. All right, how about the other two? Well, Pella, she's already been on Raid Up in 1.0 with Xlice's banner, so we don't really need to discuss anything for her. Her Eidolons really just improve her own damage and ice damage. They don't affect the defense shred that she universally provides. QQ, the Gamba Queen of Star Rail. Mostly a fun project for people to work on. Eidolons 4 and 6 for her are what really pack a punch. E4 is more Gamba. What do you know? If you do proc it, you get a fat follow-up attack on top of her original attack's damage. And then E6 is 1 skill point recovery after her enhanced basic attack, which is really important for her flow, especially with how hungry the RNG of her skill point consumption can be. So overall, main value from each of these banners, besides their Raid Up 5-star, is the Harmony Eidolons. Silverwolf plus Asta Eidolons, and then we have LUOCHA and YUKONG Eidolons. I think for a greater majority of players, LUOCHA plus YUKONG Eidolons will have the biggest raw strength bonus for the team. You get an additional imaginary coverage no matter who you get, a possible Harmony crit rate crit damage buffer, or the always useful Abundance Path healer. For the Silverwolf and Asta banner, their Eidolons are also great, but I think that we might be a bit early on using Silverwolf's full potential. We need more units that fit her playstyle to be released. And that's my full banner breakdown for 1.1 Star Rail. Let me know in the comments who you plan to pull for, and if you enjoyed the video and helped you out, I'd appreciate a like and a sub on the channel. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.